Hello, everyone. It's Sibyl Star. I am here to give the astrology forecast for the coming week of November 20th to the 26th. I call this MoonDay morning astrology because I put it out on Monday mornings, and Mondays are related to the moon. They are ruled by the moon. All right. So to begin with, we have the last few degrees of the sun in Scorpio, 28 to 30 degrees. And then on the 22nd, the sun moves into Sagittarius. So we still have, a few days left of this Scorpio energy, which, it brings up the shadow. It's a challenging energy. It's not that easy because it's very much about healing, and it brings the unconscious to consciousness. It brings light into the unconscious, so we become more aware of our shadow, those places within ourselves that are still traumatized, where we still don't love ourselves, where we may judge ourselves and feel unloved. We're bringing them to the surface so they can be healed. That's what it is about, and to make a different choice. And someone asked me once, can I give an example of the shadow? Well, let's just say there is a part of you that you don't like, where you might feel odd, out of place, kind of goofy. It's to embrace those parts of ourselves, because that's actually our uniqueness. And so when we can embrace those parts of ourselves that we don't like, we become whole. That is healing, and that is about the integration of the shadow. Okay. And of course, Scorpio is about feeling every emotion. And it's really important to understand that an emotion, actually, we only feel it for about 90 seconds. And any suffering after that is a replay in our mind, opening old wounds and not allowing them to heal. But of course, sometimes, such as grief, it takes us into deeper and deeper layers. Okay. Scorpio is very much about alchemy. It's boiling down to the essence of who we are as we release these old traumas and conditionings that are really not us. They are just overlays. All right. So, we also have, during this time, we have the sun is opposite the star cluster of the Pleiades. It is the Pleiades star cluster system is now rising in the east as the sun is setting, because it is opposite the sun. Okay. The Pleiades are from around 27 to 28 degrees of Taurus to 1 to 2 degrees of Gemini. So the sun is opposite it. And so the Pleiades will be very visible in the night sky for the next several months. And I have created a video on the Pleiades. If you want to watch them, it's actually called Meet Your Star Nation Relatives, the Pleiadians. And this video will instruct you of how to locate them with the naked eye. But I can even just tell you now. And actually, I wanted to show you a picture of the Pleiades. Okay, here they are. Okay, here are the Pleiades. And so how you find them is, if you can find the belt of Orion, you look up to the right, and there's like a big red star, and that's called Aldebaran. And then just to kind of the right and up, from that is the Pleiades. And some nights they're really visible. You can really see them. Okay. Anyway, with the sun in, excuse me. So while the sun is on the other side of the earth, the Pleiades are very visible, and they will be visible for basically from now, I think, like December, January, February, and then they'll probably disappear again. All right. But it is a great time to get downloads and transmissions and to know that the Pleiadian star beings have been involved with humanity and Mother Earth since the beginning of life here. We share much DNA with the Pleiadians. They've had colonies on Earth and much interaction with humanity and especially indigenous people. Many indigenous people call the Pleiadians their Star Nation relatives. Okay, and according to Bashar, these next few years will be periods of a real increase in open contact. And he says it will most likely be the Pleiadians who kind of lead the way on that. Okay, all right. So anyway, like I said, I have a video on my YouTube channel if you are interested in learning more about the Pleiadians, and if you're a Pleiadian starseed. Okay, because there are many Pleiadian star seeds now here to help us with this shift that really seems to be accelerating. All right, so the sun enters Sagittarius on November 22nd. And with the sun in Sagittarius, our focus shifts from the need for intimate connection, which is Scorpio, is so much about that deep, intimate bonding with the person, or that deep journey within for the healing journey, to the desire to reach out to the world and connect with something larger than ourselves. While the sun moves through Sagittarius, through this fiery mutable sign, and it will be there until December 21st when the sun moves into Capricorn and the winter solstice. But anyway, as the sun moves through Sagittarius, we can take steps to increase our understanding and awareness of the world around us. We are more able to muster up the courage to expand our horizons and branch out into new ways of thinking. Sagittarius looks at the big picture and sees how all of the pieces come together. And Sagittarius is always about the quest for meaning and truth. With the sun in Sagittarius, we gain more confidence and optimism by focusing on the big picture as we move our focus away from the details. And we may be prone to overdoing our expectations, having kind of inflated expectations, but we do have an opportunity to nurture our faith, hope, and vision under Sagittarius. It's very much after the deep inner journey of Scorpio. Sagittarius is kind of like, now that we have better understanding of ourselves, we can go out and and seek meaning in our lives and in the world. All right. Mars is traveling very closely with the sun. And so Mars is actually in Scorpio until November 24th, when Mars also moves into Sagittarius. And of course, Mars in Scorpio, and Mars is the warrior, is the sign that just says, do it. He represents our direction in life, our passion, our desire, nature. But Mars activates triggers because Mars does bring up conflict, places that are unsettled within ourselves, to allow for deep healing. Mars in Scorpio can be very determined and is the kind of energy that can move mountains. But it's so important to be aware of one's inner motivations so that we are moving the right mountain. Because just because we want to climb this mountain doesn't mean it's the right one for us to climb or to move, put it that way. And so the shadow or one of the shadows of Scorpio is disappointment. It can be a shadow as we encounter if we don't get what we want, because our desire nature in Scorpio is so strong. But often if we don't get what we want, it is because it's not in our highest good. Because Mars is also about how we use our will. And in Scorpio, we're being asked to align our will with divine will. And often our ego desires are not in our highest good. And so that is why sometimes we don't get what we want. Okay. All right. But Mars does move into Sagittarius on November 24th. Mars will be in Sagittarius. Let me look that up. It's usually in a sign about 2 months. So let's see. So Mars remains in Sagittarius until January 5th, it looks like. So early January. All right. So it's a much different energy than Mars in Scorpio. Yes. So we move from the inner journey to an exploration of the world, taking aim at what we want after have becoming clear on our motives. Sagittarius is the archer. He shoots that arrow into the light. Okay. And so we get clear on our motives with Mars and Scorpio, then we go out and get what we want. Okay. In Sagittarius, we have a love of adventure and of conquest. This is a position of wanderlust. Okay. It's often also a very good position for athletic skill and extreme sports. Mars in Sagittarius can also be the sign of the crusader because Sagittarius is very much about our beliefs and Sagittarius is about the quest for the truth. And so Mars is one who is willing to fight for their beliefs. The thing is that is that they are only our beliefs and beliefs change. And so that is really important to remember, and to really pick your battles because not everything is worth fighting for, and recognizing that things that often what we believe may or may not be actually true for us. Or let's put it this way, our truth can change as our consciousness expands. That's a better way to say it. Okay. And we may start projects or challenges with gusto, although we may tend to abandon them rather quickly. Sagittarius does sometimes have a shadow side of a lack of focus due to many distractions. Sagittarius can be easily distracted. Okay. All right. Now and as I said, the sun and Mars are continue to be conjunct, and Mars was actually what we call Cazimi. That's Cazimi, Cazimi, which means the exact conjunction of Mars and the sun. And in this case, Mars was behind the sun. We have sometimes the occultation where a planet moves in front of the sun. And we have that with Venus and Mercury, but not with Mars. And I did read that when Mars goes Cassini, NASA has a really hard time with their equipment on Mars when the sun comes in front of Mars. And so I don't really know what happened, but anyway, this happened on November 17th at 26 degrees of Scorpio. And what it actually is, it initiates a new 2-year Mars cycle. And so this Mars cycle is in Scorpio at, like I said, at 26 degrees. So I did look up the Sabian symbol for this, and it really made perfect sense. So the Sabian symbol for the Mars Cazimi, which is kind of like the initiation for the next 2 years, is Indians making camp in a new territory. And so what this says to me is that we are moving into unknown territory, and it requires courage and a pioneering spirit. Okay. When the sun and Mars are together, can really bring courage with a huge amount of adrenaline. Now, it's kind of like, you see the arrow being, shot into the light with Sagittarius. And so it can sometimes mean just really, taking off very quickly. But this is square Saturn. The sun is square Saturn. When the sun moves into Sagittarius, it is square Saturn, and so is Mars. And Saturn is limitations. Saturn slows things down. So it seems like we may meet obstacles on the path to slow us down because Saturn says you also need to focus, have discernment, and wisdom. And I feel like, and this is a square between Sagittarius and Pisces. And so I feel like one of the meanings could be here that we're being asked to discard old, outdated beliefs about what is possible. The new territory is about shifting dimensions and navigating the quantum field in a conscious way. In a quantum universe, we experience that which we look for, and what we focus on creates our reality. And there is much fear and suffering in the world right now. So it's so important to stay aware and compassionate, to have empathy for all of the suffering. And yet, we can't close our hearts down, because it says to keep your heart open, because we must feel the sadness to also feel the joy, but to focus on the love and compassion, to not focus on the suffering, to know it is there, to hold it in your heart, to do what you can to alleviate it, but really focus on bringing in the new vibration of love and compassion, because that it will arrive through our heart. The new earth will arrive through our hearts. It's coming through us. It's not coming to us. It's coming through us, and it's coming through our heart, not our heads. So it is important to keep our vibration tuned to love, for this is how we will change the world. And as we do, we will release the fear and integrate our shadow and become whole. We are in the process of unveiling our true selves as beings of light, embodied in matter. And it is the fear that keeps us from remembering. But as we shed these 3D chains of the fear matrix is when we will enter this new reality. Okay. Now we also have the South Node is still conjunct of the beautiful star Arcturus. And of course, the Arcturians are masters of inner peace. And to have peace in this world, they tell us we must be at peace with ourselves. So that is why we have been clearing our field and dealing with our shadow, basically clearing out our inner demons to help to allow us to have peace with ourselves, not to have a disturbed field. Because when we are at peace with ourselves, it creates a ripple effect and emanates out into the world. Just think of a calm person in a crisis can calm the whole field so that other people can also calm down. And peace comes from living in the moment and following the flow of energy in our lives instead of resisting it. Okay, it requires a certain level of acceptance of what is in our lives. All right, so we also have Mercury is moving through Sagittarius, so we will have 3 planets in Sagittarius. And of course, Sagittarius brings in the big picture. It is optimistic. It tells us that laughter is the best medicine. The thing is, the Sagittarius reminds us to laugh at ourselves. Okay, to not take ourselves so seriously. So, the gods saw fit to give Sagittarius another quality, especially Mercury in Sagittarius, which is called open mouth, insert foot syndrome. And sometimes, truth just simply needs to be said, however it is said and however it comes out. Other times we could probably use a little more tact. Okay, now it's over the weekend and early next week. Mars is moving into a square with Neptune, and so that expands our vision. But Neptune brings that illusion, and of course brings with it the potential to allow us to believe what we want to believe, but not necessarily what is true. During this time, our imagination is strong. It's a really good time if you're a writer or a creator. But the thing is, we could also get lost in the land of fairy, like I said, believing what we want to believe. But it also thins the veil for communication with the other side. Those beings in the land of fairy, fairies, saints, angels, all beings from the other side may show up as well. And our dreams may be really strong. All right, now, so what is happening with the moon this week? Okay, so on Monday and Tuesday, the moon is in Pisces. We're still in that really dreamy place. So it's also conjunct Mercury. Like I said, our dreams may be really strong. In Pisces, we're not inclined to want to face reality, while the moon is in dreamy, impressionable Pisces. It could be a very sensitive, intuitive, compassionate time. Boundary walls come down. Pisces energy merges and blends. But we do start off Monday morning with the moon conjunct Saturn in Pisces. So that does, kind of give us a bit more grounding to start the work week. Now, if you are a creator, Monday would be a super great day to create. Okay, and actually Tuesday as well, because it's conjunct Neptune. The moon is conjunct Neptune, and but of course it brings in our emotional boundaries, maybe extra fluid, absorbing the energy of others. So it is really good during this time to white light your field, to do salt scrubs and salt baths to remove unwanted energies, because you could be like a psychic sponge just absorbing everybody else's stuff. And it's really important to know what is yours and what is not yours. Okay. And to remove what is not yours. Like if you're in healthcare, if you're in healing, it's really important to be aware of this, I would say, on Tuesday. All right. Okay. And Monday too. I would say Monday and Tuesday. All right. Mid Wednesday through Friday. Mid Friday, the moon is in Aries. And so it's like coming up out of the water, coming up out of the dream into the sunshine. And we're motivated by a strong desire to start fresh. Our pioneering impulses are strong. We feel energetic, spontaneous, and enthusiastic. But we may also be tactless and impulsive. So, and excess energy is best channeled into physical activity. Pluto, the moon is square Pluto. I would say a Friday morning. So, unresolved, not Friday morning, right? Any unresolved conflicts that is in our unconscious may come to the surface. And so actually, the moon is actually in Aries on Thanksgiving, even though it's not square Pluto. So I would say, it's really important, if you can, to stay away from charged topics at your family gatherings. I know that's probably impossible, but we don't have to participate, even if somebody else is charged, anyone else is triggered. So it's really important to keep our own inner peace and our own inner calm, even if others are not. Okay. And of course, mid Friday through Sunday, the moon is in Taurus. And so things calm down after the holiday, and we're motivated for a desire for serenity and peace and comfort. The moon is at her most sensual and constant in Taurus. So I would say this weekend, if you can, take it easy, rest, allow yourself and your body to rest, listen to your body, don't push yourself too hard. Okay. And of course, we could be tempted to go out and buy a lot of things on sale. We've got these big sales. I'm going to say it's probably not the best use of this energy, but I'm just going to say the temptation could be there, because it is conjunct Jupiter on Saturday. So Saturday could be a day of good fortune. And on Sunday, the moon is conjunct Uranus in Taurus. And so you could expect some surprises and things to not go as planned. All right. Well, anyway, wishing everyone a wonderful holiday, a wonderful Thanksgiving, this day of giving thanks. And I would say too, we have uh, Jupiter transiting in Taurus, and that is so much about gratitude. So really, this whole week, but especially on Thanksgiving Day, giving gratitude for all of the blessings in our life, our families, our food, our ability to gather together, and to really enjoy that. All right. And to know that when we do this, we actually raise the vibration of Mother Earth and of humanity. All right. Wishing everyone a wonderful week. Many blessings to you. And if you're interested in a reading, I have my information in the description box below. And I am giving a holiday discount on some of my readings if you are interested. Anyway, blessings to all. Oh, yes. And if you like this video, please check like and subscribe. It really helps me a lot. All right. Thank you so much. And blessed be. Namaste.